In this episode of Motive Garage presented by Sparesbox, we custom make a titanium exhaust for our R32 GTR and head back to the track to try and run an 8. Now we all know that when it comes to modified cars, race cars and high-end exotics that titanium is the business when it comes to exhaust systems. Why is that? Well, it's super lightweight and it looks awesome. We love that burnt finish. Now, if it's so good, why don't we have it on every car out there? Well, quite simply, it's just cost. Titanium is much more expensive than mild or even stainless steel. And the other thing is there's a lot more man hours involved in making a titanium exhaust system. You have to do the pie cuts, which take a long time. It's difficult. You can't always buy what you need off the shelf, and it takes a lot more time to weld titanium, and you have to be a lot more skilled and careful. So you've got the cost of material, the cost of labor, which means it's very expensive for titanium exhausts. The other reason why we've never done titanium exhaust in our GTR is quite simple, is all the off-the-shelf items have been 3 or 3.5 inch, and we run a 4-inch system. But now that we have a relationship with Vibrant Performance, it's time to make a titanium exhaust for our R32 GTR. As you can see here, we have a 4-inch muffler. Vibrant Performance, one of the only companies that make a 4-inch complete titanium muffler. And this muffler is probably nearly half the weight of what the entire material will be. The other great thing that Vibrant does, as well as providing straight pieces of titanium tube, is you can buy pie cuts ready to go. Now, if you have to sit there cutting every single angle of a straight to create the pie cuts that you need for your exhaust, you waste a lot of time. So buying the pie cuts already pre-done saves a lot of time when making a custom exhaust for a GTR. I will say this though, before we pull up our old system, it was very good. We've had AES muffler and AES resonator on this car for a long time, and it's the reason why the car has always been relatively quiet, drone-free, and a very comfortable street car when you're cruising around, but still able to flow over 1100 horsepower. So the AES system has never let us down. It's just that, well, we want to try something new because titanium should sound awesome and we should save some weight as well. How much? Well, let's get started and find out. Let's get a custom 4-inch exhaust system for our R32 GTR. Let's go. I've only heard it idle so far, but man, the car sounds so different and so good. That's one thing about a titanium exhaust, is it totally changes the note of the car. Now, this system obviously only has the one muffler at the back, so it is louder than before. I'd call it more of a race exhaust system. We can put a resonator in later. And if you have a look, obviously you would have noticed that we still had a steel dump pipe, and the first section with the flex joint is still steel as well. The reason we did that is obviously the dump pipe is the hottest part of the exhaust system, so it has to cope with that. There's also the flapper valve in there, and we wanted to keep that flex bend. So we actually didn't replace the entire exhaust. We kind of did from just after the dump pipe back. You could probably call it a cat back, but you saw the scales, over 15 kilogram saving already. So yeah, it looks good, it sounds sick, and it saves us some weight. So it's all win-win-win in terms of what it does for the car, but obviously a fair bit of custom work involved to make that happen. But yeah, very straightforward to get it done, but it's not going to change the performance at all, but it should sound pretty cool when we head to the track right now to see if we can run an 8-second pass. So today we're at a test and tune at Sydney Dragway to see if we can get our GTR into the 8s. The biggest problem we have is every time we run this car, it's either been in the past a Wednesday night or a one-hit wonder at some other event or our own event where we're busy. We never have time to actually stop and test the car. It's always a rush. So today we decided that we would just bring the car to the track for a dedicated test day for the car, see if we can muck around with the launch control and get the thing into the 8s, because if everything works the way it should, the car should do it, right? So but the problem is, you got to go do it. So I've got Rob Arbolino here with me as my pit crew to give me a hand. Obviously he's done a lot with GTR's drag racing, but essentially we'll go out in the first run, get some data, go from there, right? Like the car's great to drive, but launching a big turbo GTR perfectly is still an art form at the track. At Cootamundra, it's pretty easy. I don't mind if it wheel spins, just pedal it a little bit and off you go, but at the track, it's a totally different story altogether. So see how we go. Right now, we're just prepping the car, we've signed on, and yeah, we're nearly there. Give us a wave, Evie.
I reckon we can.
Let's get it ready.
Shouldn't need that many passes.
So funnily enough, I've never actually pulled the parachute in the GTR before. And because it's obviously been sitting, well, for a while now, we decided we better pull it out, check it all works, and then repack it properly so we're nice and safe on track. So Rob's doing that now. We're gonna do a couple of things on the logs, and then we are gonna get out there and have a go. Surprisingly, that's actually the first time I've ever pulled a parachute racing at the track. This car's had a chute for a while, just never had to pull it. Well, I take that back, there was one time I was meant to, but I didn't. But like, it hasn't been teched until recently, and all these other cars I've driven have always been at Cootamundra or private days or whatever else. I've never had to pull one, so yeah, it's an interesting feeling. You pull the chute, it actually takes a couple of moments for you to feel that pull, and just as I felt that, the car was getting to rev limiter. So yeah, it was interesting. The launch felt like okay-ish. It wasn't amazing. I pulled second a bit early, just I guess in anticipation of what was happening. That's my fault. But look, if it's not an 8, it's definitely a low 9. Will it be a PB? I don't know, because if you get that first to second wrong, it can really damage your run. So first run wasn't too bad. Launch was okay. I shifted second too early. I could feel it in the car. Don't even need to tell from the logs. We're at 9.2, 161. So it's a good pass. Get a number on the board and go, all right, cool. What do we do now? Going through the logs, basically we're checking all of the EGTs are consistent. We're checking air fuel ratio. We're checking fuel pressure, boost pressure, everything. But one thing we have noticed with the car now is dyno versus real world boost levels change. This thing needs some more boost in it. Honestly, it's got like 20 pound in first gear, 26, 27 pound in third. In fact, I think the peak boost we saw was 29.5 pound. When you get another couple of pound in it, this thing can go faster. If it's doing 161 already, that's a good sign. So I'm going to turn some boost up in some lower gears, but health-wise, everything looks perfect. That's the main thing, right? How check software means you can check everything from turbo speed, EGTs, fuel pressure, oil pressure, oil temperature, like everything we need to check on this car. And yeah, that's how you do a health check. You just look over all your logs and it looks good. But the main log that we wanted to look at after we knew it was healthy is what's our boost pressure doing? What are my shift points doing? And yeah, now we can work out how to drive the thing a little bit better. Pressure during the run anywhere is 95 psi. That's Nitto billet oil pump for you. So yeah, it's pretty good. But yeah, if you look at the boost pressure, so there's no lies, 29.8 psi is the highest it ever saw. And at peak RPM, right at the end of the track, 28 psi just before it fell over. As in the rev limiter kicked in because I pulled the chute. But even in that gear before it, look at that, it's only like 28, 29 psi max. So time to put some boost in it. All right, time for run 2. We've checked over the car completely, adjusted the boost, had a look at everything, and I think we're good to go again. First run was okay. It's just good to get a run on the board, I guess, a starting point. But now it's time for run 2. It's also the first time Evie has ever watched a car race in real life, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's good. It's her first actual day at just a normal test day testing and seeing the car race. So that's pretty cool. Let's go. So this is the bit where I should be telling that we ran an 8-second pass, but truth be told, some days at the track don't go to plan because of your own car, and some days at the track don't go to plan because of someone else's car. We did line back up for a second run, but unfortunately there was an incident on track and the medical ambulance had to leave site for a little while. We waited for that to come back. We got all the way out and we were the second car to line up at the start box, and yeah, there was a major incident. Unfortunately, the car went through both nets, the tyre barrier. It was a pretty serious accident at the track. The driver is alive and fine though, but that basically meant that racing was cancelled for the day. So that's it. We only got the one test run for the day. Got the data we need to try again. When are we trying again? I don't know, hopefully very soon. But yeah, that 8-second pass isn't very far away. We just need to get it done. So subscribe, stay tuned, and we'll have that 8-second pass very soon.